What's up, comic and pop culture fans? This is James with Midhunter Comics, and I got a little bomb that I have to drop. I'm selling every statue that I own. Yes, guys, that is right. I have wrestled with this for over a year now. I own or have owned about 30 to 40 quarter scale DC statues. As you can see, I put the camera a little bit farther back so you could see a little bit more than the average amount that I typically show off. And I will put a link here if you want to check out a room tour from about a year ago. Since then, I've actually sold some stuff off, so that's more than I have right now. Now, I've been collecting these statues for about 5 years, and there's an interesting story behind it, but it brings me to a bigger point and a bigger picture I'd like to portray with you guys, which is talking about how our collections can evolve. My comic collection started out with just comic books, absolutely just comic books. I strayed into graphic novels, I got a little bit into action figures, and over time, I got into statues. I got so heavily into the statues that I actually sold a significant amount of my comic collection for prices that would make you laugh now, because the prices on these books could have gotten 3 times the collection. But I sold them 2, 3, 4 years ago, mainly to get some of these statues. Well, guys, I used to have the craziest slab collection long before my YouTube channel. Any Batman book that could almost get a 9.8, realistically, I owned. Major first appearances, I had personal collection books, I had non-keys 9.8s. I had entire runs that were 9.8s. It was just this crazy accumulation of so many years of collecting. It was my pride and joy for the longest time. Eventually, I started selling some things off in order to build my man cave epicness that surrounds me, that every time I see it, it still gives me joy. But what's interesting is priorities are a bitch, aren't they? Because now I kind of wish I still had those slabs. I think right now, if I sold every statue I've got, I wouldn't be able to get half of the books that I sold originally to get these back. I used to have some crazy books, man. I had a pretty high grade Poison Ivy that I got rid of for like a song in order to get some of these. So yeah, just books that I, no regrets, it made me happy, but oh boy, yeah, you do start to go a little crazy when you think about some of the books that you got rid of. But what's interesting is I'm totally coming back full circle to comics. I mean, hey, it's what I do, it's what I love, it's what the channel is about, is collecting the comics. I do have a lot of different collections going on right now. I do have a super full Green Lantern run, basically from like 2010 all the way back to like 74. I'm trying to collect all high-grade slabs. I'm looking for 9.6 or higher to complete the collection. It's probably like 500 books that are like 9.8, 9.6 in that time period that I want in that grade. So that's the crazy collection I've been building for years. I also have a ginormous Batman Raw collection. I still have that. That's never gonna get sold. That'll probably be passed down to like my grandkids. And that's basically every Batman book ever, not slabbed, but just there. I'm missing a lot of the 1s to like 80s, but that's okay. I also have a Avengers wall I've got going on with some of the major appearances, and I got all these other little pocket collections of either raw or slabbed comics that I've got going on. And it's been tricky in that I had a house flood, and it demanded a significant amount of time and money. So I had to sell a bunch of stuff, if you remember this last year. And now I can pretty much say I'm caught up. But now I'm getting married, so I have to fund my own wedding. So that's my own thing, it's gonna be a blast. But my budget for comics has gotten thin. But I'm never gonna stop collecting. And if anything, my collecting has, I would say, amped up. So something's got to give. And I've really reprioritized in my brain, and I'm coming back to the land of comics more than ever. And it's always been tricky. You guys that collect comics and statues, you probably struggle with this all the time. Which one do you put your chips into? I put my chips into comics, then I took those chips and I put them into statues. Well, I think this is a homecoming me because I want to put those statues back into my comic collecting. If I look about it in terms of which gives me more joy, yes, sitting in here and looking at these statues is amazing, but I am a hunter. The thrill of the hunt and finding these books and buying these collections, there's nothing better. It is the greatest feeling in the world. It is probably my most enjoyed thing that I do in my life, hunting and collecting comics, whether it be keys, whether it be tracking down nicer versions of my favorite books from the past. Collecting comics is the name of my game. So I think that these statues, they're gonna go. So I don't know when I'm gonna be selling them. I don't know if I want to start selling them as soon as this month, but maybe in the first couple months of 2022, I'm gonna just start selling them off. But it's also tricky because a lot of you who've put comics into statues know this. In the past 2 years, shipping has got crazy. It's hard to sell because the shipping is like 3 times the amount that it was just a few years back. So I think what I'm gonna look for is like local sales first. I'll have to like map it out with the shipping to and from your area. Anyone in the tri-state region, you're more than welcome to make an offer and we can just cut shipping out completely. We can just do an easy sale. But yeah, guys, that's what I'm going to be doing. So I got to start doing some goodbyes to some of these statues, and some of them are customs. A lot of these are like XM Prime 1 and Sideshow pieces, but some of them are customs. Some of them I put a lot of heart and soul in collecting, so it's going to be very, very sad to see some of these go, but I know it must be done. The reality is, you can't really do both. And you know, if you have the resources in which you can do both, good for you. That is epic. Invite me over. I'd love to see your house. But I think realistically speaking, especially in a year with my wedding, I think if I want to be as involved in collecting as I am, and I'm amping up, I'm growing this thing, I'm sorry, statues, you gotta go. It's actually good for me to finally be saying this because I've been trying to do this for 2 years, and finally committing to something as big as selling off my statue collection is something I really need some help with, and I'm glad I'm finally taking that step. The future for this channel, guys, is comics, comics, comics. This is the Comic and Pop Culture Mint Hunter Comics channel, and I'll be damned if I let anything get in the way of collecting comics. So I know it must be done. You have all been so kind and amazing and supportive, and I know that not seeing these statues is going to bum some of you out. I assure you, I'm there with you. But when we load this wall up with some of the dopest comics you've ever seen, it'll be worth it. As always, guys, keep on hunting, however that may look for you. Thanks for letting me vent about this. I'll catch you at the next video. All right, so let's take you starting from the right, or the left rather. So here's my setup with the TV. This is my bedroom. This is where I sleep. This is my view. That's where I primarily record my videos, right there. But guys, I collect comic books, comic slabs, graphic novels, comic movies, but most importantly, the statues. This I just got in. Very nice. Let me move that door. This is my Sinestro. Another kind of rare piece that everybody loves. There's a nice first appearance of Deathstroke for you in a 9.8. First appearance of Hush hiding up there. Just an awesome Catwoman cover. First appearance of Ventriloquist. And coming around here, we have the death of Jason Todd hiding behind Darkseid there. Moving back to the statues, here we have Poison Ivy. And here's the best piece ever. In my opinion, this is the best quarter scale DC statue I've ever had. It's honestly that good. Moving on down, this is where I house some of my comic books. You can see that I do years 1987, 88, 89, and I go all the way up to 2011. Some of the binders aren't up here at the moment, they're in the basement. And here's where my graphic novels start. How I do my graphic novel collection is in chronological order. So I have it carry on around here. It picks up there and it goes left to right. So it goes here to there. And I am going to do a full reading order for you. There's some people that did some on YouTube, but they're not perfect and they're missing some stuff. And this graphic novel collection is not missing a thing. There's some absolute additions down there. Okay. Little wall here. And just I don't really have a place to put my Spider-Man Hot Toys, so they're kind of just chilling there at the moment. Some comics down there. Catching up to very current times here. Rebirth stuff. And the very recent stuff. And then at the end here, there's a couple books I haven't filed in the proper spots. And then there's the highly rare Ultimate Spider-Man collection right there. Moving back to our statues. Up next is my Darkseid. I also have not reviewed him yet. That's a great piece right there. Gigantic though. His base, it takes up so much room, but since it's Darkseid, it's okay. There's my Catwoman. Great piece. You got my Bane sticking behind there. Awesome piece. Just honestly, I'm starting to forget my old Darkseid I got rid of. Here's my custom Riddler. Very nice, very nice. My old Batgirl I got rid of. Black Canary I got rid of. This is actually my favorite Harley Quinn 1/4 scale statues, and it has a lot of competition. There's a lot of really great quarter scale Harley Quinn statues, but that one I think is the best. This Lobo also is ridiculously good. I don't know if that'll ever be beat. Here's my new Scarecrow with the zombie Jason Todd at the bottom there. Here's my evil Superman, and yes, that is the first appearance of Jason Todd and Killer Croc in 9/8. First appearance of Black Mask. Back to Superman there. Here's my Lex Luthor. Great piece. Terribly underrated. Terribly, terribly, terribly underrated. And here's my Croc. Hiding in the corner there. This giant base. And here's Mr. Doomsday. Another must-have for any DC collector. And here's one that is not a must-have. This is Cheetah. She's okay. Cool piece though. Glad I have it. It's a nice bit of different color. And here is the best quarter scale Joker, and this thing's nearing like 8-9 years old now. This thing is still the best. It has not been dethroned in my personal opinion. I have yet to see a Joker that was better. I almost bought the new Sideshow Joker, but I passed, because why would I top that? Here's the new Mr. Freeze. Great piece. Just he's a little bit short, but that's okay. That's just the artist's depiction of him. But awesome. Over here we got my bass and guitar, as well as that's my PlayStation hiding there. I've got the whole room rigged up with a Sirius sound system. My receiver is actually behind there, and I have complete surround sound all over the room. And we're gonna move on to Huntress right here. I like this, but I would have appreciated an older costume with the with white in the middle. It doesn't make sense to have her belly open like that. It doesn't make sense. Also, she's a devout Catholic and always wearing a cross, and they forgot to do that on this. Kind of weird. Underrated alert. This is the Green Arrow piece from Sideshow. So good. And of course, I have the amazing Superman, which I still think is one of the best Superman ever made. It's my number one, actually. I like my evil Superman, but I like him more as a villain. That's the Injustice Superman there. Alright. Wonder Woman looks great. And all of these do have, not all of these, a lot of them have light up features, but I just haven't turned them on just because it doesn't really show up in the camera. This is one of the best Hal Jordans ever, which is weird because it's incredibly simple. He's not doing anything crazy with his pose. He's just kind of standing there stagnant, but nonetheless, that just shows you how much of a good sculpt it is. If you can do an entire statue of Green Lantern with no constructs and still have it be this good, you've made something special. Here's my Zatanna. I have reviewed her. Moving on up, here's our boy Swamp Thing. I have reviewed him. It's one of my more popular videos, actually. He is amazing. Here's another piece that I have not reviewed yet, and that is the New 52 Prime 1 Sideshow Team-Up Batman. It is the best quarter-scale Batman statue out there, which is saying a lot with the amount of Batman quarter scales there are. Between licensed and custom, there's honestly like 30, and I think this is the very best one. My biggest gripe with it is it's overscaled. And I think the best view is from right here.